All right, it's that time of year again. Got my car insurance renewal. It's gone up by 26%. I wish I was surprised, but I've been hearing so many horror stories from people out there about 20, 30, 40% price increases on home insurance, particularly also car insurance. Home insurance, it kind of makes sense because natural disasters, cost of rebuilding has gone up quite a lot. Car insurance doesn't make quite so much sense. They've dropped the value of my car by $6,000 because cars depreciate really quickly, and they put up the premium by, 26%. So it beggars belief. Anyway, what can you do about it? I got a bunch of quotes. I'm going to show you the range of quotes I got, which are all the way from about $1,600 right up to $4,000 for the same car. And I'm also going to show you a few little tricks that I've worked out by just playing around with the quoting tools to see exactly what price they put on a range of different features that are optional that you can take out or leave in, depending on what works for you. So have a look at this. Now, this is the first thing to notice. That's what they've quoted me, $188 a month, basically, which works out at about $2,255 a year, 2,255. Now, look what happens if I change to paying annually, 1,884. That's a massive drop just because I'm prepared to pay annually in one go instead of paying monthly. So that's one thing to keep in mind. They often charge you as much as sort of 15% extra just for paying monthly. If you can pay annually, you should. If something happens and you sell the car or want to switch insurers, you can still ask for a refund of any premium you haven't used. That's fine, but pay annually if you can. Next thing to note, look, roadside assist. Now, I'm going to keep this probably, but let's have a look at what happens if I do remove it. I reckon it's about an $80, $90 difference. Yeah, about 80 bucks. So I'm going to keep that in because I want it, but it's good to know the value of these things. Hire car after an event. Let's remove that. See what difference that makes. Look at that. That's about a $400 difference just so that you can have a hire car if you're at fault in an accident. Now, most policies do give you a hire car or access to a hire car if you're not at fault in an accident. This is just asking whether you want access to a hire car if you are at fault. Bear in mind, it's going to cost you around $400 plus. You've got to decide, $450 in this case. Is it worth that for you? I'm going to remove it for the time being because I don't think it is. Windscreen and window glass cover. I'm a big fan of this one because, it can cost $1,000 plus to replace a windscreen entirely. And it does happen when you're on open roads. And I think it's only going to make about $50 difference. There it is, 1,343 versus 1,424, maybe $90 difference. I'm going to keep that in because I've had to use it before and I think it's valuable for me. But again, make your own call. Down here, here's the excess, which is the amount you have to pay if you make a claim. They usually default to about $1,000. I'm going to increase that to $1,300. And look at that. That is going to reduce the quote by about 150 bucks, I think that is. So in my book, it's probably worthwhile paying the extra excess, given that on average, apparently, most people make a car insurance claim about once every 6 years. So I think the chances are I'm going to come out ahead there. But again, make your own call. But look at that. There's a few little things that I've just taken out. And that's got that quote down from, 2,200 to 1,200. That's reduced that quote by $1,000 just by taking out optional extras. Moral of the story, most insurers assume you don't have an emergency fund, and so therefore you couldn't fund a higher excess, for example, and couldn't pay annually for your car insurance. Now, maybe you can't, in which case it just goes to show the importance of building up an emergency fund, because you can then get access to discounts like this on bills like this, which will more than pay for the extra money you put into that emergency fund. If you're prepared to increase your excess, for example, home insurance is the classic one. We very rarely claim on our home insurance. So if we can increase the excess to $2,000 from the standard $1,000, chances are, as long as we can cover that amount and prepared to fix things that cost less than that amount, we can save significant amounts on the premium. So there you go. My name's Joel. I'm a money saving guy. Follow here for more daily money stuff and have a great day.